Bull or bear. And I am spinning the manhole cover tonight, which is my 5 ounce. There it goes. Everglades Silver Commemorative, and boy, that's a loud one, isn't it? And she comes up a bull. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Good evening, and hey, what's up, man? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. I've got the live LBTS cam up right now. 50 degrees, which is really cool for us. And take a look at those storm clouds out there. It's been looking like it's going to rain here in town all day. It just hasn't yet. However, it's enough, 50 degrees, and that wind is enough to keep people off the beach in our prime, what am I going to say, our prime tourist season, which we have right now. All right, I'm going to do a quick video tonight, or as quick as I can possibly do it. I always say that, but quote of the night is, when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. That's what this storm is all about, and I think that's kind of what we're starting to see here, folks. We're starting to see the beginning of a big storm of a, dare I say, a potential 2008 type scenario, but maybe on a much grander and larger scale. Maybe not, tough to say. Again, I'm not an economic expert, and what I do know is the price of gold and silver and platinum, which has been sideways all day, but kind of what I said, on Saturday's video, I said, oh, we're going to break that $2,000 mark, or they're going to monkey hammer it down on Sunday or Monday morning in the Crimex markets, and that's exactly what we got. And silver, you know, despite gold's really good performance, silver, I don't think so great. 22.55 just seems, you know, obscenely cheap to me for the price of silver, but we all knew the reasons behind that. And platinum getting actually a decent little bid there, up a little bit in the green, unlike gold. Let me do a quick refresh here, because I haven't done it the last few minutes, and see what we got going on. 22.55, 1978. So there we go. There's what our spot prices are. I think these are still really cheap prices, sub $2,000 gold. I know it was even cheaper than this at one time, but you know, if you haven't pulled the trigger yet, I wouldn't hesitate. Maybe see what happens a little bit this week and see if it backs off a little bit. But at some point, are we going to break that $2,000 mark? Absolutely we are. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And boy, if I could pick out the wins, I would be heavily leveraged and make one big play like a casino, putting all your money on black or something like that, or one number, and making that big giant play, because, you know, again, if I had a crystal ball, but I don't. But these markets, it's not a matter of when is gold and silver and platinum going to go up, when are they going to break these levels, or not if, I'm sorry, if they're going to break these levels, it's a matter of when, and we talk about that all the time. Premiums are starting to go up across the board on some other stuff as well. Our premiums are still good here at Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals, so if you live in South Florida, you're looking to buy gold, silver, and platinum, we're the place to come to. I know I'm getting my advertising done here early. So come see us at Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals. I'll show you how to get there at the end of this video if you want to fast forward it. We're open 10 to 4 Mondays through Fridays. If you're looking to buy more than 100 ounces of gold and more than 1,500 ounces of silver, you can check us out too. We do ship in that kind of amount, but we don't have a online store to buy from. Meanwhile, got that over. Let me get into just the news in general out there, folks, is not good. I kind of put up this little storm here, and my quote of the evening is about a storm, weathering a storm, and how you come through it. You never come through a storm the same way you went into it, and that's pretty much true in any big storm, whether it's an economic storm, whether it's a physical storm like a hurricane, if you've ever been through a large one, or a tornado, whatever it may be, family storms. Well, I shouldn't be laughing because, you know, no storms are good for people, but again, it's how you come out of it. But what are we looking at here? We're looking at banks out there about to collapse, the place that we put our money, the places that we, you know, Switzerland's about to commit a third of its GDP. Switzerland, the country, is about a country that we always felt was financially secure, is about to commit a third of its money to its repairing its banks. Some of its big major banks there, Credit Suisse, which a lot of you guys are familiar with. The bank can collapse, nowhere to hide in the CMBS. You know, small banks are accumulated 70% of the commercial real estate loans out there, folks. If things go up, belly up, and commercial real estate hasn't done that great for a while now anyway, small businesses just trying to do their best to get by with what they got already. But 70% of the loans on commercial real estate is done by small banks. Like Peter Schiff was talking about the other night about the derivative market about to take a big giant crap. We'll get into that in a moment as well. Nothing good out there. Record 304 billion in weekly FHLB debt issuance. It hits a staggering size of the U.S. bank run. You know, folks, boy, if there's ever a good time to be in gold, silver, at least have some in your portfolio, I think it's now. And a great article by Von Greiser here from goldswitzerland.com. Boy, they would know better than anyone about the Swiss banking crisis here. Highly recommend you read this, by the way. Just type in "This Is It," Von Greiser. It should come up on ZH where you can read it for free. And I'm not going to read all this to you again. It's recommended reading to you and not homework. Like I said, who likes homework? Where is it right here? Let me take a look here. There was a little section here I wanted to read to you. Too big to save, the death of money. Okay, and I think they put, the whole article is great, but let me read this little section down here, and I'm not giving away the spoiler. I don't believe I am. The death of money. No, instead of what we are seeing is the end phase of the financial era, where it started with the formation of the Fed in 1913, and in the next few years, or much sooner, will end with the death of money. But the death of money doesn't just mean the dollar. In most currencies, it'll make their final move to zero, having already declined 98% since 1971, when Nixon said we're all Keynesians now and took us off the gold standard permanently. Currency debasement is not just the cause, but the effect of a banking cabal taking control of the money for their own benefit. As Mayor Amschel Rothschild said in the 1700s, "Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws." All right. And sadly, as this Cassandra, and that's the writer here, Von Greiser, has written about since the beginning of the century, the death of the money is not all currencies going to zero as they have through history. No, the death of money means a more total and financial collapse of the financial system. Cassandra was he's explaining who Cassandra is if you didn't know, was a priestess in Greek mythology who was given the gift of predicting major events accurately, but was also given the curse that no one would believe her predictions. Sound familiar, folks? I feel like that. I'm sure you do sometimes, trying to tell people to buy gold and silver, but I digress here. No depositor must believe that the FDIC or U.S. or similar vehicles in other countries will save their deposits. All these organizations are massively undercapitalized, and in the end, it will be governments in all countries which will step in. And my question I'm going to ask, and again, I did my little interview with AI again. All right, I admit it, but I think it's pretty cool. You'll enjoy it here. We'll get to that in a moment. We know, of course, that the government has no money. They just print whatever they need. That leaves ordinary people taking the financial burden of all this money printing. But ordinary people will have no money either. Yet a few rich people will have taxed heavily, blah, blah, blah. And central banks had hoped that digital currency would be ready, but they're not. Again, they're not ready to roll out central bank currencies right now. I think that's kind of like we're past that point where Pandora's box has been opened. I think that the dam is about to burst out there, but maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong on this before. Meanwhile, oh man, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be bringing up all this bad stuff, but folks, it looks like things may be going down here. However, as I said on Saturday, if they can control the narrative, they can control the bank runs. So basically, and they do control the narrative out there when it comes to mainstream corporation press, when it comes to where most people get their financial news, which is from CNBC, Fox Financial, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal. These are the sources that the majority of people get their financial news from. And let me tell you, folks, these sources are so rigged to the narrative side of things that I'm sure they're painting the best pictures they can to avoid a banking collapse out there. But you're not going to get good news from them or the honest news. But anyway, again, that's a whole different rabbit hole to jump to, and I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to get into AI, my little conversation with AI. I got to get that back up here. Where is it? Right here. Well, I had an interesting conversation with AI here, which I asked it, if the United States gold reserve was priced at today's gold price of $1,979 per ounce, what would be the total current dollar value of our nation's gold reserves? And I thought this was kind of a good question to ask. We were talking about United States national gold reserves the other night, and I was kind of curious, what is that worth in today's current dollars? And AI answers me, as of my knowledge, cutoff date, September 2021, the United States gold reserve was approximately 261.6 million ounces. By the current price of $19.79, would equal $517.8 billion, half almost like a little over $500 billion there, folks. And if you think about it, what does that really? I mean, if you're familiar with budgets and deficits and stuff like that, man, I don't think that's going to save us, man. Even if we used our gold supply, even if it really does exist. Well, hey, let me move on down here. So I asked, what is the most recent estimated value of land owned by the United States government? Because I was thinking, what's the next best thing to gold? It would be land, all right? But I probably wasn't thinking deep enough, and I'll get into that in a moment. As of my knowledge cutoff date of September 21, the most recent estimated value of land owned by the United States government was $1 trillion. Still a drop in the bucket, folks, of the grand scheme of things, of what we got out there, what the federal government can rely on as far as real assets. Assets, collateral assets to pay our debt, and I'll get into that in a moment. This estimate includes all federal lands and natural resources managed by various agencies, blah, blah, blah. And again, it gives a little caveat that these estimates can be varied. So I ask again, what is the estimated value, or not ask again, I ask an more interesting question, not so much what the land is worth, but what is the estimated value of minerals on government land? And this is pretty cool, folks. This gets into a significant figure here. As of my knowledge cutoff date of 2021, the estimated value of minerals on the government land in the United States is more difficult to pinpoint to a precise number because it depends on the various factors, blah, blah, blah. But it looks like it says gold, silver, copper, and from what AI can find out there from the data that's available to myself, you, and everyone else, but again, the AI can do it faster, 6.2 trillion. I think we're going to add the gold supply that we have here to the government's land assets, and boy, well, hold on. 1 trillion in land assets, so make that 7.2 trillion if you're going to consider the minerals in the land, and add the gold in, the 7.2, a little over $7.5 trillion, all right? And I said, well, that's not bad, until I asked, what is the current U.S. debt? And as of my knowledge cutoff date of 2020, the current U.S. debt was approximately $28.7 trillion. And folks, with our measly $7.5 trillion in assets, with our mineral rights and all these other things, even if you tax everybody out there, we're bankrupt. It's bankrupt. The system's bankrupt. I don't see where they're going to get the money from it. And I ask this again down here. We all have known it, but AI kind of confirms it here. I mean, there's not much to argue with. If current spending does not change, our economic leaders do not change, how do we handle debt? How long will it take to pay that debt, and who will pay it? It's important to note that predicting a future trajectory, blah, blah, blah. Again, there's another caveat. All right, well, anyway. However, I can provide some general information on how U.S. debt is typically financed and managed. The U.S. government finances debt through treasuries, securities, treasury bonds, blah, blah, blah. All right, so we all know that. We all know that it's treasuries and U.S. debt is kind of sold. And I ask again, with the world central banks becoming sellers of U.S. debt, what happens if there becomes no more sellers of what if there becomes more sellers of U.S. Treasury and debt than buyers, providing the Fed doesn't buy them? If there would be more than, and it tells me here, that would lead to potential consequences for the U.S. economy and financial markets. First, a decreased demand in treasuries would lead to an increase in interest rates. All right, well, that's what we got going on, folks. As sellers may have to offer higher yields to attract buyers, higher interest rates could then have a triple effect through the economy, affecting everything from mortgage rates to corporate borrowing costs to consumer spending. Second, if foreign governments and investors were to significantly reduce their holdings, and we know this is happening worldwide, the U.S. dollar is widely used as a reserve currency, and decrease in demand for U.S. treasuries could lead to a decrease in demand for dollars, potentially leading to a depreciation of the currency relative to other currencies. The fall, the decline of the dollar, folks, the real nail in the coffin. That's what we're seeing, and we're seeing that already. This is not me asking hypothetical questions on, what if. This is stuff that's actually happening right now. And third, if the market for U.S. Treasuries were to become significantly imbalanced, it would lead to increased volatility in markets and potentially flight to safety. And again, implications for worldwide implications. So I asked, what are the consequences of the Fed buying U.S. debt and treasuries, and could this bankrupt the Fed? And it kind of says here some potential consequences, say long-term, by buying long-term interest rates, U.S. debt, and the Fed increases demand for these securities and drives down their yields. This can lead to lower borrowing costs for consumers and businesses, which can stimulate economic growth. Expanding the money supply, when the Fed buys, it effectively injects new money, increasing the Fed's balance sheet. The U.S. it adds these treasuries. Okay. Regarding the potential of the Fed to become bankrupt as a result of QE, it is highly unlikely the Fed as a central bank has the ability to create new money. All right. And again, garbage in, garbage out. Poor AI believes that being able to create new money is really the solution to the whole problem, not understanding really that, again, garbage in, garbage out, that creating new money is a big problem. And the Fed's liabilities, the money that creates, are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, which led to my question: what does the full faith of the credit of the U.S. government mean? And it tells me about, it refers to the government's commitment to honor its financial obligations, and blah, blah, blah. Treasury bonds or bills. In effect, U.S. government is backed by its ability to tax it. This is interesting too. Tax its citizens and control over monetary policy. Wow. This gets into a long-winded conversation that I had. You know what? I think I'm going to save it for tomorrow. I thought that was very interesting. I thought you guys might enjoy that, but I think I can blather on about this, and again, kind of getting a bit long. I got to call it quits because I got a couple things to do here as well. So again, that'll be part 2 for tomorrow for sure. I'd like to thank everybody that watched the video, $2,000 gold, $23 silver I did on Saturday. Obviously, we did not see that. And I didn't think we were. I thought they were going to slam it down on Sunday night, Monday. I thought that the narrative would lead the average Joe out there to believe that perhaps it's fixed. Perhaps the government's got a cap on it, but they don't. They can't possibly fund all these liabilities they have, folks. They're fucking broke. They're bankrupt. We're bankrupt. We're broke. Our government's bankrupt or broke. Does that mean we're bankrupt or broke? No. Only if we own the same bullshit and we follow the same spiel that they try to shove down our throats do we become bankrupt or broke. You are your own captain in this storm that we're seeing right now. You are your own captain. At this point, buying gold and silver and platinum tells me that you're probably a pretty damn good captain because, you know, it's all about wealth preservation and you couldn't think of a better thing to buy in this current market. Well, listen, I do have to call it quits. I'd like to thank, again, not going to be able to get into any questions about last night's video. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Please, if you don't find me on this particular channel one day, go figure why, maybe. You can catch me here. Make sure you, and this is a good channel to have as well. There's a lot of good stuff out there that you won't find on the channel that I'm talking on right now. But again, I'm on there as well as a backup, and you can also find me out here. I gathered 2 new friends. It looks like 2 new followers. But feel free to ask me questions on Twitter. It's Brian Kuzmar at briankuzmar.com. And that's it, folks. If you're looking to buy gold, silver, and platinum, you live in South Florida, please come by and call us anytime in South, 10 to 4, Mondays through Fridays. We beat the guys online like SD Bullion, APMEX, and JM Bullion, and also the locals here in Florida as well. Well, anyways, long day. I'm sure it has been for you. Let's see what happens tomorrow, and thanks for watching. Bye now.